welcome to another episode of Real Lives of Saskwives. Today's episode is a very honest and deep convo with Sarah Lynn. She is a NICU nurse, a content creator, and a mama who has built an online community through humor, nursing, and the very real realities of motherhood. In this episode, we talk about everything from creating content as a nurse, balancing motherhood and social media, finding humor in the hard seasons, all the way to Sarah Lynn's fertility journey, the loss of her third baby through late-term miscarriage, and the over 100, you guys, days her youngest child spent in the NICU after being born at just 28 weeks. This conversation is very raw, it's very emotional, it's hopeful, and incredibly important. Before we jump in, I do want to include a trigger warning that this episode contains discussion surrounding pregnancy loss, miscarriage, premature birth, and NICU experiences. So please take care while listening, and honestly, feel free to pause or come back to this episode if you need to. And one little housekeeping note before we jump in. I am fully aware that the microphone is covering Sarah Lynn's face for basically this entire episode. And I just want to say we are learning and we are growing, and I am pumped about these mic stands, but I am so mad at myself that I didn't think of these things before. But you know, we're learning on the fly, and you just have to appreciate the effort, and that the CRA has sponsored this podcast so that it can have mic stands. Okay. It's only going to get better from here. Thanks for being chill and understanding. The people on TikTok probably won't be, and I'm scared. But anyways, let's get into it. Welcome, Sarah Lynn, to the podcast. Hope you enjoy. Welcome to the podcast, Sarah Lynn. How are you doing?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. How are you feeling about, it feels like more official when you officially like do the intro, and then it's like, oh, it's real.
Basically, I just kind of like haven't been thinking about it a lot because I didn't want to get nervous. And now that we're sitting here, I'm like, oh boy.
I know it's different. Once I say the intro, it's like, okay, here we go. It's getting real. Okay. So I always start my podcast the exact same way. How do we know each other?
Mutual friends, I guess.
So my neighbor is one of my very best friends, an avid listener. Shout out, sweetie pie. And how do you know my neighbor?
We went to nursing school together.
Okay.
Met 10 years ago-ish. And have been thick as thieves ever since.
Okay. And so when I like started this whole podcast thing, my neighbor was like the biggest supporter of it. And she was like, you should have Sarah Lynn on. And I was like, yeah, doesn't she just live like right over there? And she's like, yeah. I'm like, oh yeah, cool. She's like, you know, you can talk about her like NICU experience. She's had like a lot of, she does content, whatever. And I was like, okay. And then the neighbor sent me your Instagram, and I was like, oh, Sarah Lynn's a big dog on socials. Okay. And I was like, oh, okay. Yes. Hello, Sarah Lynn. Wow.
And then I checked out your Instagram, and I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah,
all right. Real bona fide
content creators in the neighborhood. Okay. So talk to me a little bit. Oh, and if you can hear anything in the background, we have a special guest with us today. Our first ever baby is on the pod, Benji. So he's playing with some toys. You might see his face. I don't know. We'll see. But so tell me where you grew up, kind of the story of Sarah Lynn. How do you end up in Saskatoon?
I grew up I grew up outside Saskatoon.
Okay. Like how far?
Like close, like on a farm.
Okay. Got it.
You know, within like 30 kilometers or so of Saskatoon.
Okay. Got it.
Started my childhood on a farm, on a little grain farm. Mm-hmm. And then we moved into a smallish town where I went to high school and graduated from there. Moved to Saskatoon to attend university.
Okay, so did you always know that you wanted to be a nurse?
No.
What did you think you wanted to be when you were growing up?
No, I wanted to be a hairdresser, a nurse. My grandma was a nurse, so I thought that seemed like, you know, something that maybe I'd like.
Yeah.
Or a ballerina.
A ballerina.
I never danced a day in my life, though.
Oh, okay.
So
that was like
dead in the water.
Ambitious.
Yeah,
okay.
Exactly.
Okay, so when you moved to Saskatoon to go to school, did you apply directly into nursing?
I did not. No, I went to through the arts and sciences because I wanted to. I was pretty sure that I wanted to be healthcare, something in healthcare from the get-go. But I had a lot of grown-ups in my life telling me like, "Oh, you should be a nurse," and I think it was probably just more like a rebellious teenager, basically the more grown-ups telling me like, you should be a nurse or you'd make a good nurse, made me even less interested in being a nurse. So I started in arts and science with the intention of doing basically literally anything else in healthcare. And then somewhere along the line, my boyfriend at the time was now my husband. Kind of encouraged the nursing route as well. Basically, it was just like, it seems like it's a pretty, you know, it's a stable career. It seems like a good career, and you know, it seems like it'd be a good fit for you. And I don't know if it was just like it was coming from him specifically, or coming from like a peer instead of a grown up, maybe. That I was like, yeah, actually, he might be onto something here. So I got the prerequisites, applied into the college. Finished the degree. And
what was your favorite part of nursing when you were in school? What did you think you wanted to explore in your career?
Okay, I loved almost all of my placements, actually. And I say almost because my mental health rotation, I learned so much in that rotation. And I think numero uno of what I learned was that I am not cut out for mental health nursing.
I think a lot of people learn that, and it's a very special type of nurse.
It is. They are very special people, I think, mental health nurses. And so that was the only one where I was like, nope, this is not for me. But like I did some medicine and some surgery rotations. Loved all of that. I liked the internal medicine aspect of the medicine stuff, right? The lab values and the medications and stuff like that. And then surgery was really interesting because I kind of like getting my hands dirty, and I like, you know, dressing changes and kind of like gross stuff, which I was a big fan of. My pediatric rotation, I was a pretty big fan of as well. I feel like every rotation I did, I was like, no, this is the one that I want to focus on.
Okay, well, that's good.
And then
it always got better, it sounds like.
Yeah, I suppose. So then, but I mean, they don't give you a NICU rotation in school. So that one kind of just fell in my lap as I was already working.
Okay.
And I started that in 2019.
So what did you do initially when did you convocate, and then 2019?
2017.
Okay. And what were you doing 2017?
Surgery. I worked on the surgery ward that I did my final practicum on.
Okay. He really wants to talk in this microphone, and I love that for you.
Are you a big talker?
Yeah.
I worked on a surgery, I guess med surge. There was some medicine, some surgery, right out of school. And it was just such a wonderful place to kind of cut my teeth and like sort of establish some of those skills, my confidence and my autonomy. And then a NICU posting opened up, and I really thought that I was going to end up on labor and delivery, because I think that was maybe my most favorite out of all my rotations. And I really thought that I would end up in labor and delivery. And I ended up, and basically NICU called me back first. So I ended up there.
And now, are you still in NICU?
Yes.
Okay.
I work.
You're on maternity, or are you on leave still?
I'm still on maternity leave. Yeah, I work a little bit in, or I do, I'm still, I guess, yes, I do still work NICU. And then I also work in kind of more of like an outpatient sort of, like 9 to 5 capacity at a different hospital. That's a little more conducive to family life, a little less stressful.
So was NICU casual then, and you pick up as you?
Yes.
Did you ever have a full-time position there?
Yeah.
Okay.
When I first started there.
7 to 7 type of deal, and you're working days, nights, here, there, and everywhere. No real rhyme or reason to it. Okay. So did you do that schedule when you first became a mom? Yes, I did. And so how old, or I guess what year did you become a mom? So you start NICU officially 2019. When does motherhood come into play?
My boy was born in late 2020.
Okay.
And then I was working full time in the NICU right up until our daughter was born.
Okay.
And then I took the part-time kind of outpatients job on her maternity leave. So I started that when I went back to work, and then just picked up as it worked for us in the NICU. Sort of pad my schedule a little bit, because it was only a part-time position in the outpatients department.
Okay. And so when does the nurse content Instagram get on your radar within all this motherhood, NICU, etc.?
That was during my first maternity leave with my son.
Okay.
So he was born in kind of the second wave of COVID. So the second lockdown, or whatever you want to call it.
Okay. So are you watching other nurses create content and you're like, I should do that, or what?
It was actually my sister. She was creating paramedic content. She's since become a nurse, so we're pulling the paramedics now apparently. Yeah. But she was we're making paramedic content, and she was like, "You should get on TikTok." And I was like, "TikTok? That's for children."
TikTok, yes, like it all connects.
Yes, and so, but then she started showing me some stuff and doing her own thing, and I was like, "Actually, that sounds kind of fun," and it like kind of felt a little bit like everyone was in on like a joke that I wasn't in on. And I was like, I kind of want a piece of this pie. Like, you know, and like one of my most favorite things to do in the whole world is make people laugh. And like, if somebody tells me they think I'm funny, like my feathers, it just fluffs my feathers right up.
And this is the real lives of Sasquatch. Wrestling your child to nurse while you're in the midst of a podcast. That's right. You can't write this stuff. So how does it do on TikTok when you initially start? Because I feel like TikTok was booming in 2020.
It sure was. Well, my sister had kind of gone through the growing pains, of like the strategy stuff. So she was like, if you're going to start, like, basically like try out a couple different things that you're interested in. And like motherhood was one of the topics that I kind of tried out. I'm also big time like DIYer. I really like to craft and stuff like that. So I think I made like some kind of tutorial that went absolutely nowhere. Okay. And then I made a nursing joke. Some kind of nursing joke that like really took off. I don't remember. It was like 60,000 views or something. And it was my third or fourth video. So I was like, well, I guess I'm a TikTok nurse now. I guess
I'm a nurse.
So that I just feel like, there was kind of a strategy to like pigeonholing your niche a little bit. Luckily, there's a lot of content there. So
yes. So we start on TikTok. When does it translate onto Instagram? Or did you do it at the exact same time?
No, I'm really wishing that I had put it on Instagram because it was like probably a couple of years in and like other nursing pages were sharing my stuff, which I thought was cool. Like, I mean, that was really, I'm glad everyone enjoys my joke. But then I kind of like realized like, why am I not sharing my stuff on Instagram and Facebook? So I kind of like missed the boat, I think, of like kind of like kind of building that audience as well. So that I think I only really started sharing my stuff directly to Instagram maybe like a year or two ago. Because I feel like
so your content would never come across my desk because I am not a nurse. So I was even just like I was telling my mom, because I said, I'm sitting down with like Sarah Lynn tomorrow, whatever. And I said, she creates like TikToks and Instagram reels about nursing and kind of like the funny pieces of it or whatever. And I said, I don't know what any of it means, but it seems to do well. So like, I couldn't tell you if it's like generally all nursing or if you're very specific to certain niches. Like I have no clue what you're talking about. Some of them maybe a little, like I think you've done like a Grey's Anatomy and you talk about, and I'm like, okay, I kind of understand that, but not really. But so talk to me about that content. Are you just doing NICU stuff because you're living NICU life in your job, or are you just doing it all?
Well, so I kind of tried to keep it pretty vague because I didn't like, I mean, I do have a fair amount of NICU experience, but I mean, I also have a lot of experience with adults and stuff. And in some ways the adults are a little bit funnier than the NICU. I mean, there's less humor to be found in sick babies than there are in,
for sure.
Some of it's like, NICU specific, but like just generally speaking, I feel like I try to just keep it as like, like real life nursing,
Yeah, well, and you're reaching a broader audience when you keep it general.
Yeah. And shift work too, right? I feel like some of my jokes are just like not even necessarily nursing specific, but just like, being up all night, things like that.
So because you have 3 kids, are you scheduling like, okay, today's the day I'm going to film 3 different videos, I'm going to change my outfit between, or like, do you have a strategy to how you're doing this and fitting it in? Because 3 kids is a lot.
Is it a lot?
Well, 2's enough, so I couldn't imagine 3.
3 is a lot of flipping kids.
Yeah.
Not specifically. Basically, at one point I spoke with like, I guess maybe sort of like a management agency at one point, like earlier on in this. And they were like, what are your goals what are the goals for your like platform? And I was like, to have a good time. Like,
to have fun.
It was just basically like, it was never something that I like, they were like, is this like, are you hoping to like replace your income with this? And I was like, is that an option?
Yeah, no, like just probably a serotonin hit now and again that things are
100%. Like, yeah, exactly. I feel good when people tell me I'm funny. So,
but I also feel like it's less pressure to produce when you're just doing it for a hobby for fun.
Yeah,
right?
I would agree with that for sure. So as far as like the content creation goes, it really just like I fit it into the corners of the free crevices of my life and my kind of, I don't know, we can call it a motto, I suppose, is like when it stops being fun, then it's a time to take a step back. Like if it starts feeling like an obligation. So I've taken multiple sabbaticals throughout my social media creation I don't want to call it a career hobby. One was, well, when we moved into our new house nearby you. And so like when we moved into our new house, there was just a lot going on, and like it just kind of took a back seat. I took probably a year-long hiatus, and then there was, between babies and stuff where I was just like, well, this is not working for me right now. So anyway.
Not the season for it.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you find that affects your followership at all? Do you feel like you have to build it back up as you?
I think so. Yeah. I feel like I gained a lot of steam, a lot of traction right off the jump, and then have taken multiple breaks throughout. And like, it's just like kind of staying pretty stagnant now, but it's.
Are you still posting?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, when I can. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you said, taking some of the pressure off too, right? Like, I mean, a serotonin hit, yes. And I mean, gaining followers, having likes, people telling me I'm funny, that kind of stuff. I really appreciate that. But at the end of the day, like, it's like, that's not my real life. Like, this is my real life. And so, just kind of like trying to keep in context, like why I'm doing that, why I started that. And
do you ever post anything personal on there, or is it just strictly like jokes and laughs and good times?
Sometimes I do, just that I feel like in a way, like people have found me and like have come onto my channel for the laughs, for the lighthearted stuff. You know what I mean? So like I'm not opposed to sharing some of the tougher stuff, some of the tougher things. I guess it's just like not in my nature to like bring down the mood either.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
like
no, I think it serves its purpose and you like what purpose it serves. And that's the difference between sharing the nitty gritty. And, some people are like, I follow because it's so real. It's so raw. And then other times I follow things, I'm like, that's just genuinely funny. Yeah. And I enjoy like the laughs from it. So I think that's totally fair.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Okay. So let's talk about your motherhood journey. So what year do you get married? Just out of curiosity.
2015.
Okay. And so then you start having babies about 5 years into your marriage. And how is if it's okay if I ask, how was your fertility journey entering motherhood? Was it kind of quick and seamless? Was it work? Where were you at?
No,
there?
it was very quick and seamless, actually. So my husband and I kind of developed like a 5-year-ish plan. He's a big time planner. So we had about a 5-year plan when we got married. We wanted to take a couple trips. We wanted to like run a couple races and finish nursing school, work for a couple years, basically establish ourselves.
You guys big runners?
We
or
were
like, what do you mean by running races?
Well, we really had this aspiration that like we would start with a 10K and then we'd run a half marathon and then a full marathon, and we both tried triathlons, and we did not do most of that.
What's the furthest you did?
I don't want to talk about it. It was a 10K.
No, I think 10 is hard. I'm working up to a 10 right now. It's hard.
It is.
It's hard on your body.
It is. And like now, and like truthfully as a mother, like just like the time spent, because I mean it's built on consistency, right? And
exactly.
like
who has 2.5 hours to run at one time throughout your week?
I talked to somebody, I think I only had one kid, and he was like, I do triathlons. And I was like, tell me more. I want to get into triathlons. And he was like, it's a really big time commitment. And this like single fellow that I met wherever like looked at my life and was like, girl, I don't think so.
Every time my husband, he did one triathlon, and every time he says, I think I want to run another triathlon, I'm like, oh.
It's a commitment for the whole family.
Yeah, so I'm like, so now you're gone for 3 hours for a bike ride on a Saturday. Like, come on. Like, proud of him for doing something for his health. But like, yeah, it's a time commitment.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're like getting into, we want to do all these things. We got to kind of wait to have kids.
Yeah. So I really kind of, for myself, I had talked to these other women who like talked about their baby fever and how they just like had this void in their life, and they knew exactly when they wanted to have kids because they just were so excited to be moms. And I was like, oh, perfect. So like we'll have a baby like when I reach that point, when it feels like my life is missing something, and that just never happened. So we were on basically the last trip of our 5-year plan, 5 years in. We were in Bondi, Australia, and we were both kind of like, well, this is it. It's not going to get better than this. Like, it's not going to get any more convenient. So, and 9 months later, our oldest was born.
Okay, so we made a decision, and boom,
boom. So quick and seamless is the way I would describe it.
And how was that first introduction to motherhood? Was it okay mentally? Were you like, you found obviously a voice within your maternity leave, which you're obviously filling a bit of a void, right? Like a little bit of boredom.
Yes, 100%.
But otherwise, how were you doing through that?
Obviously the biggest challenge was COVID. I mean, we were the second wave of COVID, like the end of 2020. So things went back into lockdown. We weren't allowed to have any visitors in our labor and delivery room, which at the time I wasn't really too upset about. I was like, you know what? I don't need everybody coming in. And like, it was
kind of the norm now. Nobody goes to the hospital.
Is that right?
Either.
Oh,
yeah, no,
cool. Well, good to know. I don't know. I've had some pretty rocky birth experiences since then, so I wouldn't know. So I remember like I got pregnant and bought these pregnancy tests, and I wanted to do, these like cute, like Pinterest, like you're going to be a dad, and none of the stores were open. Nothing was open. You could go to like, what was it? Pharmacies and grocery stores. And that was it. And so like, I wanted to get, like a pair of socks and sandals and like a dad's goodie rings and a dad's root beer and do this super cute thing for my husband. And none of the like specialty stores to like get those things, those candy stores or whatever it was, were open. So I was like, well, just like threw a pregnancy test out. And I was
You're
like,
gonna be a dad. Here you go.
basically. And that was that. And I was like, well, all right. That was really anticlimactic. And I'm like a bit of a dramatic girl. So like, I've been thinking of this like pregnancy reveal for a long time. And I was like, oh, this sucks.
That does suck.
So that was like, step one, COVID, and then pregnancy. Like my husband couldn't come to our first ultrasound. He couldn't see the heartbeat.
Mine couldn't either for like all of them.
Really?
For my daughter. Yeah. She was born in 2022. So 2021, they still weren't letting anyone in there.
No kidding.
Yeah. So that sucked.
Oh yeah. No, it was really, it was a huge bummer. I mean, thankfully that ultrasound was fine, because like that would have been really, if that had been bad news, right? There's no heartbeat or something like that, then that would have been pretty crappy to do that all by myself. So that was really unfortunate. Thankfully, I guess maybe it was just like, maybe it was the time of year too, I guess, maybe into the summer, when things kind of started lightening up a bit, because he was able to come to they loosened the restrictions just in time for our anatomy scan, like 3 days before. So he's allowed to come to the anatomy scan, which was really exciting.
Which is the best one anyway.
It is the best one. Yeah. So anyway, we had our boy. And everything went pretty swimmingly for the most part. And then, it was like the restrictions were getting tighter and tighter. So no one was allowed in the hospital. And that was A-okay with me. Got home, basically, like, it was like, okay, you're allowed to have maximum 10 people in your house. And now you're allowed maximum of 5 people in your house. And now, like, nobody in or out that doesn't live there kind of thing. And so, like, everybody, like, our whole family got to meet him once. And then we were like, well, I guess now we have to meet at, like, dirty McDonald's if you want to see your grandkid, because that makes perfect sense.
Did you feel really isolated in that experience on maternity leave that first time because of all the restrictions?
Yeah, definitely a little bit. I think there were some positives to it. I would say for the most part, I felt incredibly ripped off. I like had envisioned, like mall walking with our babies and like coffee dates with all the other girls on maternity leave and like mommy connection groups at the churches and things like that. And got none of that. So that was a huge ripoff. But to look at the positive side of things, in some ways, I think that it kind of, the transition was maybe a little bit easier, because like, we weren't missing out on anything. You have your first baby and all of a sudden your life is like turned upside down. Your social circle like shrinks and you can't do all these things and stuff.
That's a very good perspective.
So there was like this kind of period where nobody was doing fun stuff. So we just really got to like hunker down. We got to just like focus on this like parenting thing and this new baby thing. He slept like a dream because we didn't go anywhere, do anything. We were like so regimented about like wake windows and whatever, all because we could be.
And we are with our first
and
one.
We are. The second and third, they just like train themselves out of pure neglect, I think.
Yeah, literally. That's funny.
So there was like a positive spin if you wanted to do that. But yeah, come the springtime when we were allowed to be, when we could be outside more and we're allowed to be together more. Then that was so much fun. And like, I remember he was like 6 months old the first time we got to like bring him to church. We were having church over Zoom and like doing like Zoom communion. And I remember, I get these Snapchat memories sometimes where like we never really planned ahead. So it was like, oh, we're doing communion today. And we're like, oh shoot, what are we having? We'd like share a chocolate chip cookie and a shot glass of lemonade. And we're like, well,
there's communion today. God would approve. It's all we have.
You know what? It's symbolism. It's okay.
Okay. So at what point do you make a conscious decision that you're going to have a second? Does it just kind of fall into your lap? How long after?
Also pretty easy breezy kind of, I guess, fertility journey. It was around, we kind of were shooting for like 2-ish years between the kids. Mostly my husband is a couple years older than me, and in his words, he's like, if we're gonna try for 3 kids, we need them like close together, because I'm not sending someone to kindergarten in my 60s.
That's exactly how my husband is as well. Yeah, they're very concerned about their retirement.
Yes, exactly.
I'm like, could we maybe have
thought about this like prior to getting married and being like, hey, I'm getting old. I should probably like get things going here on the engagement, the marriage. Like, why am I in a rush now? Because you couldn't figure it out.
Yeah.
That's what I said all the time. I would be so annoyed. Okay. So he's like, let's bang, bang,
Yes.
bang.
So
Okay.
we were going for 2 years between them.
Okay. And like the idea was 3. That's what you
we were
kinda had
hoping for
discussed?
3. Yeah. We
Okay.
both come from like 3. I guess his family's like 3 and then 4. They had a sister like later in life when he was in middle school. And so we both come from like 3, I don't know, 2 just didn't feel like quite enough kids,
Yep.
but 4 seemed like a lot.
4 is a lot. Yeah.
Turns out 3 is actually like a lot too.
Yeah.
So anyway, we settled on 3. So
Yeah.
3 was the goal or the hope.
Okay.
And so when we had our boy was 15 months old, where it was like, it's one of those things again, did not feel like anything was missing from my life. Our life was plenty busy with our one baby. But we were like, well, I mean, if we want to have them 2 years apart, I guess it's
go time,
chop,
baby.
chop.
Let's go.
Yeah. And we got pregnant with my daughter fairly quickly. And so they are
Okay.
2 years and a month apart.
Okay.
So
Wow,
pretty,
you nailed that.
Pretty wham bam. Yes.
Nailed that age gap.
Yeah. So,
Okay. And how's 2?
Oh, 2? Okay, that was an easy breezy transition. How was your transition to 2? Just out
Great.
of curiosity. Yeah.
Hard off the start.
Okay.
The meltdowns they're 3 years apart. The meltdowns were like a lot. And your hormones are all over the place. So to try to regulate a toddler while you can't even regulate yourself felt
Amen.
really overwhelming.
Yeah.
But once you get into a routine, it's like, oh no, this is fun. They entertain each other. You get a little baby mix. You get a little like someone you can visit with, Yeah.
Was your oldest still napping when your baby came
she
home?
decided to stop as soon as her brother
Yes,
was
of
born.
course she did. Oh, thank you for that.
But that's okay. We got quiet time rolling and we figured that out. And sometimes it was like that awkward, you sometimes need a nap, but you sometimes don't, but whatever.
You don't need it, but you're not really a nice person when you don't.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
yes,
Yeah.
I feel that.
So it was okay for you?
Yeah, the second was super, super easy. Also a wonderful sleeper. I think we just got lucky with that one though. So she was a fabulous sleeper and our boy was still the 2 years apart. So he was still napping. And I think that was pretty huge that they both, there was that like weird period where like they were taking alternate naps.
Yeah,
and I was
no
like,
one's
I'm
ever awake at the same time.
literally
You're
can't leave
stuck
my
at home.
house because
Yeah.
someone's always sleeping. Yeah. But the second, and the reason I ask about your experience is because I kind of am conducting my own like layperson research a little bit. Cause like, I'm just curious if people think, the first is the hardest transition or the second, or in some cases the third. And anyway, so I'm just curious if the second is easy for a lot of people or if that was
I'm
me.
noticing that you keep saying they were a very good sleeper. They were a very good sleeper because that tells me somebody isn't the best sleeper because no parent who actually just has good sleeper kids would ever add that in the conversation if they were all good. You know what I
I'm
mean?
sure we'll get to that.
I'm just getting some context clues. Both my kids, really great sleepers.
I love that.
But I also formula fed. I did a couple months of breastfeeding, just had some health stuff come up both times that I was like, I need body autonomy. I need space, whatever. And so, but I always think like formula babies sleep real good.
That's what I've heard,
They
right?
sleep
It
real
digests
good.
a little slower,
Well,
know.
you know what my logic is you can see how many ounces they're getting in the day.
Yeah.
So when they wake up in the night, you go, I know you're not hungry because you got the top amount of ounces in your day. Whereas
Yes.
your baby wakes up and you're breastfeeding, you're like, well, here's the boob. Like
Yeah.
you're probably hungry. You know what
Totally.
I
Where I'm
mean?
like, sometimes it's exactly it. I like feel one of my boobs. And I'm like, oh, that's why.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
other
So
times,
that's
it's
my
really-
like running theory. I don't know if it's true in like
No,
every situation, but I'm like, I don't think they would have been good sleepers had I
Yeah.
been nursing.
Yeah. No, that's that. I think you're onto something there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Talk to me about your first 2 pregnancies. Did you have any issues with them?
I had some very minor complications at the end. It was something called cholestasis, which I had no idea until I experienced it.
Yeah,
and
what
it
is
was,
it?
Basically, when your liver and gallbladder like stop filtering effectively.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then bile acids like build up in your blood. If it's severe enough, can have really poor like fetal outcomes. It can like babies can be stillborn because of it, because the environment, it's actually very poorly, near as I can tell, it's very kind of poorly understood compared to a lot of other pathologies.
So did it get worse with each pregnancy? Like your body started to...
No, not really. My boy, it started around 32 weeks. And so the telltale symptom is your, usually the palms of your hands and the soles of your feet get insanely itchy. And I thought I was having an allergic reaction.
I've heard of this.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was very... Yeah, I woke up in the middle of the night and I was like, I had a penicillin reaction when I was a kid. And I was like, oh my goodness, I am allergic to something because I've felt this before and it's hives. So I go into the bathroom and there's nothing. And I'm freaking out and I'm so uncomfortable. And so I must have called my midwife in the morning. I did a whole bunch of Googling and I was like, kind of landed on this, and I was like, well, I don't know what else it would be. This thing that I've never heard of. Called my midwife in the morning. She came to the same conclusion. We did the blood work and everything. And like, yeah, you've got this thing, but there's like a medication we can try that might make you more comfortable. But like basically the cure for it is delivery. Like your body like just figures it out once the baby is out.
Okay.
So our first got pulled at 38 weeks because that was kind of the optimum. You know, my blood tests were getting worse, and that was sort of the optimal, you know, the research at the time said that was like maximizing the time in utero, but not risking, you know.
So do you have a section?
He ended up being a section. He was a failed induction. Tried to induce. And he was not having it. So ended up being an urgent C-section because he wasn't tolerating the fake labor.
Okay.
And that was a fantastic experience, to be completely honest.
The induction?
The induction sucked a little bit.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, I had like a really textbook induction experience with both my kids. So
like good. Like it went according to plan?
Like so good.
Nice.
Yeah. Like,
that's exciting.
Like so good.
Yeah. Post dates, or why were you induced? If you don't mind asking.
41 and 3 with both. Mama carried all the way. I would still be pregnant with both of them if they didn't induce me. Like everyone says, wait it out. I'm like, no, I would still be pregnant. Like 87 weeks pregnant.
Okay,
like
how
insane.
big were they? If you don't mind asking.
My daughter was 8 pounds.
Oh.
So like
Pretty
not
petite
huge
for post dates.
And then my son was 9.
Okay.
And like I very much felt the 9 compared to the 8. I was like, oh, that's a way bigger baby. Okay. But he wasn't, neither of them were measuring like big or anything.
Yeah.
It was just, and my mom had to be induced with all 3 of her babies.
Interesting.
And so I was always kind of the example for my family. So I was like, sorry, girls, I got induced. It's not looking good. So my sister, same thing, had to be induced. My sister-in-law, same thing, had to be induced, all with their first. So then it's my second, and everyone's like, okay, we're hopeful Jordan's going to go into labor. Like, she's going to figure it out. Didn't go into labor. So I was like, sorry, girls, we're screwed. These babies don't come out. Same thing. My sister-in-law had to be induced with her second. My sister's about to have her second, and she's like praying, but I'm like, the odds are not looking good.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I tried so hard. Like my whole Pinterest algorithm was all these, they won't tell you this, but this will induce labor. And so I was drinking the things and eating the things. At one point, I don't know, somebody told me dates, and I've never used dates and never cooked with dates. So I was just eating dried dates by the fistful, and it was terrible. And or like, the bouncy ball. I watched the entire Harry.
Honey, I tried everything except I refused to drink castor oil. That was the one thing
I think
where
I drew the line there too.
Hard no, I'm too scared. I hear so many horror stories. Like I was curb walking. I was doing these weird positions on my bed for literally an hour and a half a day. My husband was jiggling my butt. Like, it was so strange.
Yeah, I was like,
nothing
and
worked.
like they say sex can help, right? So I was like, babe, you got me into this. It's time for you to get me out of this. Do you think that helped? No. You know who probably had a good time though? My husband.
It was exhausting to try all of these things every day. Like I was so tired at the end of the day, and then I'd be like, oh, maybe tonight. Wake up in the morning, didn't happen.
Yeah,
I'm
like,
oh
dang,
my
it's
God.
still pregnant.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So did you get induced with your second, or did you just do a scheduled?
I opted for a scheduled section.
Okay,
I
fair.
was praying that it would be a spontaneous labor because I was kind of like, I guess, a way of me like leaving it up to God, where I'm like, you know what? I will labor and VBAC if she decides that we should labor and VBAC. But like if we get to our elective section date and there's no movement, no dilation, nothing like that,
that's what's meant to be.
That's fine with me. And that's what it was. And that was also a very wonderful experience.
Okay.
It was.
And so did they have to schedule her on an earlier basis as well because of this like itchy hand thing that you had?
Yes. So hers was later, like the symptoms started later with her. I want to say maybe 34 weeks. So once I crossed 32 weeks, I have this problem in my life where things like start looking up and I just hang my hat on it. And I'm just like, this is it. We've won. Like everybody go home, take a lap, hit the showers. Anyway, so I got to 32 weeks and I was like, no cholestasis. I'm like, I feel like $1 million. I'm like, we have beat it. And I had this one doctor that was like, oh, just because you had it once, the odds are not good. It's like a 60% chance that it'll keep recurring or something like that. But I was like, probably have it again. She's like, not necessarily. No, anyway, so 34 weeks and it came on like so hard and fast. And I was sleeping with, the only thing that I found relief in was like ice packs, like freezing. Basically, if you don't have like a lot of sensation. You can't be itchy. So I would sleep with my feet on those giant ice packs that you get in like HelloFresh or like Good Food boxes. And I frostbit my feet a bunch of times. They were like peeling and stuff. But that was the only thing that helped. I would swap out my ice packs middle of the night. It was just
That sounds like my nightmare. I hate having cold feet. But I mean, if you're getting relief from itchy, whatever. But
I didn't wear socks all winter because if my feet are cold, they're not itchy.
Right.
So yeah, no, that sucked. So 38 weeks, she got pulled as an elective section.
Yep.
Which was also a wonderful experience. Very different from the like, this isn't going the way we wanted to. Like we're, going to be in the OR within the hour kind of thing. So it was very relaxed and like, it was really nice. They were asking me like what kind of videos or like photos I wanted and stuff like that. So I've got like her birth video, which is
cute.
They like parked her halfway out of my uterus and we're like, okay, are we ready? We're like, it's a girl. And I was like, you guys are too much making this just so ceremonial. It was really cute.
That was cute.
So and then she, I don't know, she's our unproblematic child. She's had like no feeding problems. She sleeps like a dream.
Angel baby.
Yes.
The angel baby is always the second, I've noticed. That's what I tell people.
Yes.
Okay, so we're deciding we're going to have our third. Sorry, just to jump back.
That's okay.
We're going to try to do the 2-year age gap again is the goal. And so what happens next?
We, I went in for an ultrasound. We had a scheduled ultrasound. Basically, the baby was measuring a little bit small. All my children were very small. They're all 9th percentile babies.
Okay, so that wasn't really on your radar. You're like, welcome to the party.
Exactly. Yeah, I think it must have been around 19 weeks. Measuring a smidge small, 5 days small, a week small, something like that. No one's concerned, but we'll like keep checking.
Yeah.
And somewhere between 19 weeks and 21 weeks at this ultrasound, I noticed that there was not a lot of movement. And I mean, I know from, I guess my medical experience, my healthcare experience, that I could go in and get checked, but at that early gestation, there's nothing to do anyway.
Right,
so.
because what technically is viability week? It's like 20, is it 23?
Yes, I think,
like
I think 23 weeks. I think 24 is kind of like the worldwide. And this is not my area of expertise, but I think.
Nobody come at us. For getting this wrong, okay?
23 is a bit of a hard stop in Canada, as far as I understand. So at 21 weeks, there wasn't anything to do.
Yeah.
So I just kind of, I was doing all the things. I was drinking the juice and playing the music and whatever and trying to feel the baby move. And I had this ultrasound coming up probably I think it must have been within the week where I was
so
like,
that would have been the anatomy scan that was coming up?
We'd already had the official anatomy scan. This is really just to check on the growth.
Okay.
I think... deep down, I knew something was wrong.
You're trying to be optimistic, I think, too, right? Of being like, no, I'm not going to like put my brain there. Why?
I had no reason to like, there was no bleeding, no cramping, like none of these other, my water hadn't broken, like none of these like, my body had no idea anything was wrong. My first baby had an anterior placenta and I felt significantly less movement with him than I did with my second.
So you're justifying that maybe in your third, like could be anterior. Girl,
absolutely.
Like,
I thought maybe the placenta had just grown to a point that like, he was small anyway. And now I had this placenta that was kind of, acting as a bit of a barrier. And at the end of the day, there wasn't anything to do about it anyway. So went to this ultrasound and the first thing they do, they always go to the heart first to see if they should carry on with the ultrasound. And it's kind of a, a moment that still kind of, rings in my ears where she just said, I'm really sorry, but there's no heartbeat. There's no point in continuing. And
so did they just stop the ultrasound and say, I'll get the radiologist, or what do they do?
Yeah, she went and I was being consulted with the maternal fetal medicine doctors. So like the super OB specialists. Yeah. And she just said, I'm going to go get the doctor. And so she came in and, she apologized and she's just such an angel.
That's
she
so
was,
hard.
Very direct. There was no, soft, pseudonyms or anything for the words she was saying. And then she asked, like, do you want me to check again? And I said, well, like, no offense to your, to your tech.
The professional, please.
Yeah. Yes. Would you, I would appreciate that. And so she did. And she said, we've got this, we've got the spine. He's kind of curled up down there. So
they moved me to another room, and they took some blood work and stuff to see if we could find some answers.
So is this right in like an ultrasound clinic?
This was actually at the hospital.
Okay, that's nice.
At the children's hospital, yeah. So everyone
you're getting
was there.
Things right in there. Because I'm like thinking about the times that I was in an ultrasound clinic, and I'm like, they took blood there.
No, this was all, because that's where the maternal fetal medicine doctors were practicing, or this doctor was practicing that day. And so, I and my husband didn't come to that ultrasound with me. He was working, and he asked me if I wanted him to, and I was like, I don't think so. Like,
Why does that always happen? The same thing happened to me every freaking time too. Don't worry about it. And then it's like,
and so I did bring my mom, and I'm so thankful.
Yeah, that's good.
Because I brought it as like, well, this is probably going to be your last grandbaby from us. So do you want to come for an ultrasound?
Yeah.
She was so excited, and I was so happy that she was able to be there.
Yeah.
Because being there alone would have been even worse, obviously.
Yeah.
So then I had to call my husband, and anyway, so he met us at the hospital, and then we kind of sort of established a plan with the doctor, and asked if we wanted to wait and see if my body would kind of naturally go into labor, and so we gave it about a week to see if I would. If I would go into labor by myself, and I didn't. So we had this deadline day. If by this day she was saying that there's a lot of complications,
of course,
that can happen by not delivering. So we gave it about a week. I did not go into labor. So we went in for an induction of our stillborn boy.
Oh, Sarah, that's so hard. When you're going through all of that as a mom, how are you showing up for your kids, your other kids in that time? Are you,
I'm very thankful that we have a really great daycare. And so they went to daycare.
Yeah.
Pretty well every day. And it was a lot of self-care that happened, especially in that week. I laid on the couch a lot.
That is a long
cried
week.
a lot.
I am so sorry of sitting there and having to just wait for that would be literal torture.
Yeah. And, there was a lot of praying and a lot of bargaining and a lot of all of those kind of the stages of grief. And, so our kids kind of kept going to daycare, and then, and they knew that there was a baby. Well, my younger didn't know, the younger girl.
Really understand. Yeah.
Yeah. But he was only, what was he at that point? Probably three and a half. Yeah. And so, it wasn't that it was something we necessarily wanted to keep a secret from them. It was more like, this is this really heavy thing that I'm not sure they need to be burdened with at this point.
So do you have a conversation with them at some point? Like, do you give them some really general language to...
We haven't, no, not really. And at this point, it's a topic that we actually haven't broached with them yet. We try to talk really openly. His name was Noah.
Okay.
And we try to talk really openly about Noah as a part of our family, but I don't think our kids have really noticed yet. And what I would really love for this is for Noah to just be like a mainstay conversation in our house, that it's not like this, we need to sit down and have this talk and with them, but they just kind of already know a little bit.
Okay.
So we haven't really had an explicit conversation about it with them. And we figured we would probably have that conversation. We were going to decide if we wanted to try again.
Yeah.
Have another baby, and then if we decided we didn't want to, or it didn't work out to have a third baby, at that point we'd be like, actually the baby has already gone to heaven, or the baby's not coming home anymore.
Gotcha.
But then, well, like I said, then we got pregnant with Benji.
Yeah. So just one question I have is, when something like that happens and you have to deliver and you go through I just can't even fathom it. But do they do tests to try to figure out what went wrong? Are they thinking it's connected to your, whatever it's called with the itchy hands? Or is it just something that happens? And
yeah, they were, so they offered a lot of testing, right? Chromosomal testing.
Okay.
They offered to do a full autopsy on him. We opted for, and then we sent the placenta to pathology to have a look. So
speculation at the time was just a placental insufficiency, that the placenta just didn't implant correctly. He just didn't get enough blood flow.
Okay.
And
is that just a weird thing that can happen?
that's
Spontaneous?
yes, apparently. Yeah. So
Okay.
at my 6-week follow-up, that was the question, right? Like what are the odds it's going to happen again? Cause that's going to really influence our
100%.
decisions
Yeah.
moving forward. And she said it was like in the absence of other like health conditions, and I have next to no health conditions like outside of the cholestasis that I get with pregnancy, but no, they don't believe it was related to that.
Okay.
That it was probably a one-off, and that's a real fluke thing.
Okay.
And the odds of it happening again are incredibly slim.
Okay.
So yeah, we went ahead and we got pregnant with Benji.
Okay. Did that take a lot of conversation? Were you like, it's a tough bridge to cross?
Well, no, I guess not a lot of conversation. I mean, we had to, the 6 weeks postpartum that we it needed to heal and stuff like that. And that was kind of I spent a lot of, we talked about it during that time, but it was kind of, and for me, it was like, well, I wanted that baby.
Of
but
course.
I can't have that baby.
Yes.
And so I do still want a baby, and we said we'd try one more time.
Okay.
And this was a full stop. This was the last pregnancy, however it went.
Okay.
And so
I think that's a healthy boundary to set.
I think it was important for us to go into it with a boundary.
Yep.
Before we get so emotionally invested in the process, or
Yes.
to like have this like point that's a full stop.
Yes.
And so 8 weeks after Noah was born, we got pregnant with Benji, actually. So
So mama's been pregnant for a long time, Sarah Lynn. Oh my.
the last year and a half have been the longest 10 years of my life.
Yes.
I think is what it feels like.
No, literally. That's what I said. So I have a whole episode about my fertility journey. And so just to like sum it up real short, miscarriage, then my daughter. Miscarriage, maybe a fourth one, then my son.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And so I said, I have been pregnant my entire marriage.
Yeah.
So now I'm done. Like, I feel like we're in the same space.
Yeah.
Like our sons are very close in age. To be like done and be like, I don't have to ever be pregnant again.
Yeah.
Regardless of what the outcome is. I'm like, oh, what a freeing experience. I haven't drank alcohol in like 5 years because I've always been pregnant.
Right. Yes.
Yeah. So I really do
Yeah.
feel for you because it's a very long journey.
Oh, that's really hard. I'm really sorry to hear
Thanks.
that.
Yeah, it's all good. Like, I think we're at the end of the journey and I have exactly what I asked for, so I'm like, whatever, it's fine.
And I think my husband has really taken like that stance. Like he's so relieved to like not, and you know what? 3 was always the goal for us.
Yeah.
But like, I think there's just a little part of me that grieves all of those, like, those like little milestones, the pregnancy test, the first ultrasound, the announcing to the grandparents, like that kind of stuff where I'm like, oh, I'm never going to do that again. Or you know what I mean? This was the goal. This was like, or the hope, I should maybe say. And like this, so like this was, regardless of it all, this is what we hoped our family would look like.
Yeah.
But occasionally I'll joke around with him about like, well, unless you're not done, and he does not find it funny. He's so traumatized. So we're done. This is it.
So when you get pregnant with Benji, do you feel like your experience with Noah kind of stole the joy out of being pregnant, or were you able to kind of put that on the back burner and really be present and hopeful and optimistic with?
No, it was so stressful. Yeah. It was, and it was still so like Noah's loss was still so fresh too.
Very.
That it just like never, we'd pass like, well, maybe when we pass this milestone, like out of the first trimester, or when we get the anatomy scan or whatever, well, then like it'll feel like the doom, the weight of it all has been lifted. And I never got to that point in this pregnancy where I was like, we're home free. We can just sit back and enjoy. Like, I don't think I took a single bump. No, I did take one bump photo, and that was when we thought labor, or like when we thought his C-section was imminent, when I realized I didn't have any bump pictures. And so the only bump picture I took of him is at the hospital in like the day before I think that we went in for a C-section.
Yeah.
Because I think it was like a little bit of like maybe an attempt at self-preservation too. Like maybe if I took so many bump pictures with Noah because he was our last baby and I wanted to remember every detail of it. You know what I mean? And then with Benji, I just had a really hard time really fully diving in, fully committing to the joy, like you said, of the pregnancy experience.
we hadn't basically we told grandparents that was basically it, not because we were trying to be secretive necessarily,
just trying to protect yourself.
Yeah. It was one of those things where like we're excited and joyful, but also sad and grieving. And it was just, there were so many conflicting emotions that we decided
100%.
to keep the noise, all the other people. We just didn't want other people's, I don't know, excitement or whatever, or, you know, even in some ways their encouragement. We were like, we just need to, it's just too much. It's too much all around. So we kind of kept it on the down low for as long as we could, because I don't know, it seemed like the safer option, I suppose.
Well, and my whole thing with when I was miscarrying, or like I didn't tell people for a long time with my first few pregnancies, and my whole thing was I didn't want the sadness. I was scared that if I did miscarry, I didn't want everyone to know and label me as sad. Oh, did you hear about Jordan? Like she miscarried again, whatever. I'm like, no, I don't want anybody's empathy. I just want happiness at the end of that. But you're right. Like you are just always waiting for the other foot to fall.
Yes, that's exactly what it felt.
And I really didn't feel good and confident that I was going to have a baby until I literally delivered my kids. Because it was like, well, no, like don't be too excited yet. You know what I mean? Yeah.
That is so accurate. And I feel like I've lived a pretty charmed life. Like I, you know, haven't had a lot of like loss or grief in my life. So this, you know, and people, they mean well, but like,
of course,
you know, the look that they give you when they're trying to convey empathy, but it kind of just makes you feel like you're like a lost puppy dog, the sad look. And they mean well, but I was so tired of people looking at me like I was sad, you know? And we had this amazing community that really rallied around us, and that was wonderful. But it was a very, like kind of a bizarre experience to all of a sudden, like I already felt broken and like my body had let me down. And now that everybody knew about the circumstance, it just felt like I already felt broken, and now everybody knew that I was broken
exactly
too.
Where sometimes it's kind of nice when you go out in public and you're like, nobody knows that I'm broken, and that makes it easier to keep it together. Whereas when everybody knows you're broken, you're like, okay, I'm just really broken, and you feel like you almost sink into it.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah. So when you were pregnant with Benji, were there complications in the beginning? Like I know he had a very complex kind of ride in you. So what happened there?
Yeah. So he was fine and good. I was on taking some medications that were, you know, potentially going to help the placenta implant. But again, this was supposed to be a one-off thing. Like the odds of it happening twice, very, very slim, but we can take daily aspirin to kind of thin the blood, which is supposed to help the placenta implant.
I truly hate the odds of all these things because they just never really seem to actually be accurate. I'm sure they are, but
that's
it's like,
right. This
I
is
never fit the
foreshadowing.
statistic
it
ever.
was supposed to never happen.
Yeah.
So, and it was going along swimmingly. I was with an OB, and we were just kind of being consulted with maternal fetal medicine. They were just following us a little bit and checking some doing some more specific ultrasound readings that were specifically like the venous and arterial blood flow, just to make sure that all of these arteries and veins were flowing the way they were supposed to.
Okay,
and
so we're crossing our T's and dotting our I's and making sure all is well.
No one was taking any chances with us. And it was going really, really well until 23 weeks. Basically, we had to scan it. I think maybe 19 was maybe our anatomy scan. He looks great. Everything looks great. Couple days small, not bizarre. All my children were small.
Yeah.
And then we scanned again at 21, fell a little further behind in the growth, 5-7 days small, something like that.
Okay.
And then we went in at 23 weeks, pardon me. And he basically hadn't grown at all in 2 weeks.
Oh,
yeah.
Benji.
So he went from like 300 grams estimated at 21 weeks to 330 grams.
Okay.
Which is like nothing.
I was going to say, how much do they want them to gain within that amount of time?
At that time, that's a really good question. I want to say
obviously more than 30 grams.
It was supposed to be more like 100 to 200 a week.
Okay.
I think.
Okay, so he's
at that point, or maybe that was later in pregnancy, but it was something around that point. If there's any OBs in the audience, feel free.
I don't know if there is. Don't listen to us.
Yeah.
We don't know what we're talking about.
So, basically, it was kind of like a lightning strikes twice sort of situation. And we had the same I specifically requested the same maternal fetal medicine doctor that we had with our loss. She's wonderful. I mean, she's brilliant. She's absolutely so smart and just so gentle. She's direct and so compassionate at the same time. So I requested her. She apologized profusely. This is what we're seeing, and it is
So is that 19?
does not look good.
Sarah Lynn,
This said
or-
23 weeks. And this is not looking good.
Okay.
And the complicated thing, 23 weeks, right? And when we kind of
Right.
started talking about it, well, that's good. They're viable. And I'm like, under normal circumstances, they would be viable, but he is so much smaller than he should be.
Okay.
Because he hasn't been apparently receiving, he had another form of placental insufficiency,
Okay.
which seems to be probably different than our first experience.
So
yeah.
you're at 23
Thank you.
weeks. They're like, it's not looking great.
Yes. So what?
Yet here he is beside us, like plot twist. Here he is. So how does
by
that
the
shift
grace
and
of
change?
God, I think. So well, to put into context, our doctor's words. She called me on Thursday night. It was the Thursday before Good Friday, like the day before Good Friday of last, like a year ago Easter, and her words were, "If you're still pregnant on Tuesday, I'll scan you again." So that sucked.
If
So
you're like, okay, great, here we are again.
Yeah.
I just went through this traumatic thing not that long ago. I feel it's the same thing all over again. I'm sure it's how you're feeling.
It's exactly how we
Can I
felt.
survive this
So
again?
We grieved like
Yeah.
pretty, I got taken off work, which was great because I was just crying all the time. So basically from then on, I mean, my husband and I were kind of grieving, and because we were pretty sure it was like, why would we believe that anything different, right? We're going to end up with the same outcome as the first time.
Yeah.
So she scanned him twice a week.
Okay.
For as long as he was going to stay in for, basically as long as,
Okay.
so
as
she
he was
said,
safe, sort of deal.
Yes, exactly. So, I mean, the usual stuff, right? If you start feeling decrease in fetal movement, come in right away. It's like,
Oh, that's so hard because you're probably sitting there just spiraling every day, being like, "Well, how long has it been since I felt the baby
exactly.
move?"
Well,
Yeah.
I really distinctly remember waking up at one point in the night, and couldn't sleep, or, took a while to fall back asleep. So I was just sort of doing like, a bodily inventory, right? I was like feeling my belly.
Yeah.
I was trying to push on it. I was laying on my stomach. I was trying to get him to move. And it was several hours in the middle of the night. And then I was pretty sure, because at that point we were just kind of waiting for him to pass away. Yeah, I was just kind of up in the night crying because I was pretty sure, well, that was it, and I in a way didn't even want to sleep because I didn't want to miss anything. I thought if we only had these, a couple days left together, I wanted to embrace every last like kick and roll and jab.
Right.
And so it was several hours, didn't feel anything, and I'd kind of like basically come to the conclusion that he'd gone, that he'd passed away that night. I got up, went to the bathroom, crawled back into bed, and my husband woke up when I got back into bed, and he goes, is everything okay? And like at that moment, he started just bouncing off the walls. So I was like,
okay.
oh,
Okay, false
okay.
alarm. Sorry.
Apparently we're good. I was like, I was so certain that he was gone. And
What a roller coaster for you.
yeah, it was very stressful.
Yeah.
So we scanned twice a week, and he managed to put on very, very tiny amounts of weight, 30 grams here. He had this like big jump at one point that, what was that? At 27 weeks, she measured him again. We'd already been consulted with a whole bunch of specialties. Social work had come to talk to us to talk about kind of like some memory making things that we could do, things like heartbeat recordings and stuff we could do with like ultrasound photos, stuff like that. We talked to pediatric palliative care.
So like, what were they were like pretty sure that he wasn't going to survive, obviously, if all of these things are in place. Like, what was did they give you a chance of, we don't like the percentages here, but like,
Yeah. So she said that, with this particular form of placental insufficiency, usually from diagnosis to when the blood flow is like incompatible with life, like when it peters out and your baby dies, is 1 to 4 weeks. And somewhere it was diagnosed at 23 weeks. So it happened probably somewhere between 21 and 23 weeks because he didn't grow basically at all in that amount of time.
okay.
So we were given 1 to 4 weeks, and he stayed in for 5 from the point that it was diagnosed.
Okay.
Yeah.
A little fighter.
He is the toughest little guy I've ever met.
Yeah. So when is he delivered? When does he come into the world?
Yes,
What week?
it was 28 weeks on the nose, 28 and 0.
Okay.
Yes. And so
Good
at
job,
27
Benji.
weeks, she measured him, and we were seeing like, 30 grams every 2 weeks kind of growth, but it was like just enough. Well, he was staying the course, and she said that like, even though he's maybe not putting on, well, we met with NICU too, like met with one of my the neonatologist colleagues. Yes.
Yeah.
And basically said like 500 grams is kind of, they just don't make the equipment small enough to go much smaller than that.
Okay.
She said like 400 is basically a full stop, and he was, I think, 330 at the time that we met with her. Like you just can't put a central line in, you can't put in a breathing tube in, you can't. They're too small.
Okay.
Even though he was old. And our MFM doctor said that, like, he's still developing. His lungs are getting stronger. His brain is developing. He's doing all of these like development things, but his body is so small. So, 400 was like a hard stop. 450 is like pretty Hail Mary. 500, there's like a lot of kids, but with every, the smaller they are, the higher the comorbidities and like the injuries and, the likelihood of like lifelong deficits and all of this stuff, but at that point we were on this train, and we were gonna ride it out. And
so how much did he weigh when he was born?
507.
Yeah, Benji.
So at
you were listening.
Yeah. At 27 weeks, he had this giant jump, like 100 grams, which is still very little for that gestation.
But for him,
it was a huge jump in weight. And I ugly cried. She scanned me and she's like, well, we're estimating him at 513, I think was the estimation. And
that's a pretty close
ugly
estimation
cried.
to the reality.
She's brilliant, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
So she, I ugly cried because I was like, that was at 27 weeks. So he was still in and he was still bouncing off the wall. So I was like, this guy's got a chance now. They went from like us grieving and like pretty sure we were picking out a name because we were pretty sure we were naming a dead child, for lack of a better way to put that. I called my husband after that scan, and I was like, you're
not going to believe this.
You're never going to believe this. Yeah. And like, I've been praying so hard for like miracles, obviously. Right. And like, maybe, this, like whatever the obstruction is, will just like open right up. And so then these 100 grams happened. And I was like, are we fixed? Are we going to 40 weeks now? And she was like, oh, honey, no.
Hold the train, Sarah Lynn. Like, yes, this is a miracle.
Do you remember when I said something good happens? I just hang my hat on it and we're like, to the moon. So anyway, I was like,
wow, I'm going to go overdo with this one.
Precisely.
This giant porker in my stomach here.
Yeah. So anyway, did not happen.
Okay. So we got to 28. That's amazing.
Yes. So we'll like keep up our scans. We'll scan again next week. So we were scanning, I think on like, I don't know, Mondays and Wednesdays, Mondays and Thursdays, something like that. And we scanned on Monday, and he was still bouncing off the walls, but she had noted, it was before the weekend. Sorry, I think it was Friday. She scanned me and said, well, like, we are starting to see some of that blood flow slow down. Okay. So his blood flow was starting to, like, his body was like shunting blood away from like his kidneys and his abdomen and stuff, as the body does when it's stressed out. It perfuses the critical organs and the brain. And she noticed that he was starting to kind of redirect blood flow that way. And so then I was like, are we good for the weekend? Like, what's the plan? And she's like, well, no, like this is the beginning of the end, though. This is like the progression that we expect to see.
Okay.
This is the beginning of the end. So we'll scan you again on Monday. So she scanned, or whatever day it was. Honestly, it's all a blur. Anyway, scan me again on Monday. Nope, it was definitely Tuesday. We'll crap that. She scanned me again on Tuesday. and he, and she asked me, she was scanning me, and she goes, she's so astute, because she'd been doing a lot of my scans up to that point. I had a couple scans from text, but mostly she was scanning me herself. And she asked me if he had been moving. And I said, yeah, he's not bouncing off the walls today, but he was moving in the waiting room. And she goes, okay, he just seems a lot less active than I remember. I think like everything looks unchanged from before the weekend, but he seems less active. So I think we'll do a non-stress test. I'll scan you again tomorrow is what happened. We did the non-stress test the next day. But anyway, I think he's starting to slow down. I'm going to scan you again tomorrow. And I was like, okay, like, do we need to like
bring anything? She's like, you should probably bring a toothbrush. And I was like, okay, so this is the beginning of the end. Like actually the beginning. I mean, and it's one of those things you could see it maybe coming from a mile away, and it still hits you like a train. We knew this was coming, and it was, you know, it was just, it was like the top of the roller coaster and I had some friends. One of my very best friends from work was working, and she'd been kind of keeping up. How was the scan today? And I didn't really, most days I didn't have anything, you know, we live to fight another day, right? It was just these updates where I'm like, he's still kicking, we're still going. So anyway, she was like, how are things today? And I was like, well, you know, tomorrow might be the day. Like we're starting to slow down. He's starting to peter out. And she was like, okay, I'm on today and tomorrow. And so is this charge nurse who is also very wonderful. And she's like, do you want me to like let her know that you might be coming tomorrow? And I was like, oh, I mean, sure. Why not? Anyway. So, she's like our little like NICU angel. Cause she kind of made sure everybody knew we were coming, even though officially we weren't coming. We weren't like on the radar and so anyway, next day scanned. Still looks kind of unchanged, but we'll do a non-stress test just in case. We made it through like probably 18 minutes of this 20-minute.
What's a non-stress test?
Yeah. So a stress test is like, I'm not an OB nurse, but, a non-stress test is when there's no active labor. They're just monitoring your baby's heart rate for accelerations and decelerations over a long period of time to get like a really good like long snapshot versus the 10 minutes that they're scanning you. You know, you get 6 seconds of a heartbeat and call it good. This is 20 minutes of a heartbeat.
Okay.
Yeah. And she said that he was okay. She was in my room talking to me. The monitor was still going. I could see it on the screen. And he had this giant deceleration. His heart rate just like plummeted went from like 150s to like 80. And the alarms were going off, and the nurses that were kind of like, you know, monitoring me and stuff, they came flying into the room. And it was like, that was actually really quite an incredible experience to look back on. It was in a matter of minutes. There were probably 15 people in my room, and somebody was throwing scrubs at my husband. There was an anesthesiologist in there telling me to go and stick my tongue out to like check my anatomy in case they had to intubate me. I had people poking IVs on both sides. At one point, one nurse was like, I'm taking your pants off.
And I was like, see my face. I'm so stressed for her right now.
It was wild. And I'd actually, this friend in the NICU, I texted her to be like, I don't know, it all looks good. We're like, 18 minutes into this non-stress test, nothing's happening. I'm like, I'm not sure, waiting for the doctor to come back. And she's like, I really hope they're not going to send you home. And I was like, well, I wouldn't really feel super comfortable going home knowing we're this close to the end. Anyway, and then he had this thing, and I was like, uh-oh. And I was like, so JK. I just like yelled at my husband.
TTYL going in.
Yeah. I yelled at my husband, or I was like, well, like text our parents, I guess. And if you don't mind, like reply to Chelsea. I was like, reply to Chelsea and tell her we're coming. And then like basically everybody stormed our room. People were poking me. At one point, a nurse like, I'm taking your pants off. And she started giving me a surgical scrub. And I was like, oh,
are you in assessment, or where are you?
It's, what is it called? Shoot. It's like outpatient. So like if you needed like infusions for anything during your pregnancy.
Okay. I've never been in there, but.
Yeah, it's like just behind assessment. You walk through assessment to get there. Yeah. And the nurses there are absolutely fabulous. And we kind of got to know each other decently well because I went through there after most of my ultrasounds to get more labs drawn and stuff. So I got to know them. And yeah, they sprung into action, and I can remember it so vividly that the doctor, the MFM doctor, like the vocera, so like kind of like a walkie-talkie, and she like broadcasted basically like, we've got this urgent or like an emergency C-section, and someone came back with how emergency, and she's like, I want to be in the OR in 30 minutes. So they got the magnesium is a medication that kind of protects the baby's brain.
Okay.
And so they got the magnesium. She was like, the magnesium's got 20 minutes and I want to be like in the OR after that. So they got this IV and started this drug and call NICU, tell them we got this 28-weeker and whatever all. So in the OR, we got to the OR. She scanned me one more time to make sure that, I'm assuming if things had gone very poorly in that amount of time, they wouldn't have bothered C-sectioning if he had passed away in that interim. Yeah. And she said, he looks fine. Like his heart rate's come back up. It's kind of one of those things where like, it could have just been a fluke. Babies probably have decelerations a lot, but she says, we already know the end is nigh. Like we're threading a needle kind of, right? And to get an extra day out of this gestation, at the risk of losing him altogether is probably just not worth it. And we already know he reached that 500 grams, that sort of benchmark we were shooting for. So we went ahead and C-sectioned him.
Okay.
Yeah, and he came out at 507, and he was incredibly, incredibly small, and it took them 9 attempts to put his breathing tube in because he was so little.
Here we go. We're on the roller coaster still. Just because he's out doesn't mean it's over.
You got it.
And so how long did you spend in the NICU with him?
115 days.
I was gonna say,
just shy of 4 months.
And what was that experience like being on the other side of the NICU?
It is so bizarre being on the receiving end of it. It was all things. Okay, no, it's a terrible experience. I do not wish that, but like all things considered, like
Benji,
the NICU,
tell us, what was it like in the NICU?
You know what this is. It's like, why are you guys telling this story? Let me. Yes. All things considered, I mean, it's just like what a fantastic group of people. Like it was just, we were so well taken care of, and and they made, obviously I knew a lot of the staff there. So many efforts were made to give us like maximum privacy. And I just only have really great things to say about the experience as,
Well, you're kind of VIP, What do you do with, like, you still have 2 other children? So what are you doing? I don't want to say balance because it probably didn't feel like balance. But so how are we navigating?
God bless grandparents.
Yeah.
Because they came in so clutch. Right. The kids had still have daycare, so they were in daycare while we were having their little brother.
Yeah.
And
are you and your husband switching off who's at the NICU so that one can be at home with the kids for bedtime? Do you leave them with the grandparents for...
my routine, I guess. So my husband does construction, and so the summer is...
the busiest time of the year. They hate summer. I'm like, this is sick. Yes. What's wrong with you?
And he's like, I hate being outside. And I'm like, well, this stinks for all
Why
of
did
us.
I marry you?
Yes. So he took off the first week, but that was pretty much all we could do. So the routine was I would get up in the morning and I would get the kids ready. I'd get them to daycare and go spend the whole day with Benji in the NICU.
Okay.
And then pick them up and really, really try to give... I only had probably, 3 hours with them before bedtime. So really just try to give like 110% to the older kids. And they were so good because, shift work. I didn't send them to daycare 5 days a week otherwise. So but they were just absolute rock stars about it. And they never complained. They didn't whine. They were just so amazing. And they went to daycare 5 days a week for 10 hours a day so that I could go hang out at the hospital with Benji.
Yeah.
And they were so understanding about the C-section thing too. And you guys are going to have to be extra good.
So you've got a 4-year-old and a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And so they go to bed. Does someone come and stay or your husband stays there so that you can go back?
I slept in my own bed for the most part. Yeah. Spent the whole day and then left Benji in the NICU overnight.
What do they do, just out of curiosity, when you have, because I know you're a nursing mama, what do you do when they're that little? Are they like putting a little bit of breast milk in a line for them, or like because he's obviously not nursing off the start?
That's right. So, I was pumping, obviously. And he, to start with, the volumes, everything is just so small in the NICU. So his first feed was it was half a milliliter.
Wow.
Half a milliliter of breast milk through a feeding tube. So he had a breathing tube and then also a feeding tube.
Yeah. Is that like within a couple like days of him being
that is
delivered, or
usually within a few days? Yeah, they usually wait, get some lab work, get some X-rays, stuff like that. Make sure everything is like kind of calming down. If the baby's, if they're too stressed out and they've got kind of these like biomarkers that indicate.
But what are they giving him in the interim if he's not having breast milk?
TPN. Yes.
Which is what?
It's like IV nutrition. So carbs, protein, and lipids through his central line, which is in their belly buttons for as long as they can keep a belly button line in, because there's an artery and a vein in there that's ripe and ready for the poking. So he had a belly button line for a little while, which eventually turned into a PICC line in his arms.
Yep. We graduated
down the
on
road.
and on.
Exactly. So he got little dribbles of milk.
How long did it take till you could nurse?
Well, they have to be off of in like intense oxygen support, because if their oxygen support is too high, it blows the milk into their lungs instead of down their
Yeah, that checks
esophagus.
out.
Yes. So when did we start nursing? You were on CPAP for a very, very long time. I don't know. He was probably 3 months old before he was actually able to like feed orally.
Okay.
Other than that, it was always through a tube.
And so I know you said 100 and some days in the NICU, but so how old was he when you got to come home?
Almost 4 months old.
Okay. And
When he came
was
home.
he on oxygen when he came home
He
for
was
a while too?
just for a hot minute. Yeah, we
Okay.
spent about a month on 24/7 oxygen, like
Yeah.
the smallest amount they can give to babies,
Okay.
like 0.06 liters.
Yeah.
The tiniest little amount, and then we did. You know, you two did. I was bouncing him and he farted. Oh dear, that's really nice job. So we, we're on oxygen for about 4 weeks.
Okay.
And then we got kind of graduated to just oxygen at nighttime. Like basically
Yeah.
when he was laying flat, his oxygen, we did a sleep study. His oxygen wasn't great when he was laying flat. So we did
Okay.
oxygen at night for a little while and then came off the oxygen. And that was a way bigger pain than I expected. I was like, yeah, some oxygen, little like backpack with it on. No, what a huge pain in the
Yeah,
butt.
I
Because babies
can
are
only imagine.
normally very portable, but that was really annoying. I wasn't a fan of that.
Yeah. Well,
that
and you
was
have
huge.
2 other ones that you're lugging around. You don't just have like it'd be very different if that was your first baby and
Yes.
you're figuring out oxygen and whatever. You got all this time.
Yep.
When you're managing the rest of the chaos.
Yes. No, you're so right. So yeah, we did oxygen for a little while, but like all things considered, it's so incredible and really just like a testament to all the care that we received. That, you know, he came home outside of the oxygen, which he almost didn't really need. It was kind of like he might be fine without it, but let's just be on the safe side. He'll probably grow
Yeah.
better if he's breathing a little less hard, essentially. So we went home
Yeah.
with the oxygen, but he came home very small, but like just
Yeah.
as far as anybody knows, perfect.
Yep.
We are wonderful. We got a brain MRI before we left just to double check. He had a very small brain bleed
Okay.
in his first week of life, which is not uncommon, but like the very mildest form. And it was resolved by the time we got discharged, and your brain looks amazing. It sure does.
Excellent.
Yeah. And so he's just doing so good. He's doing
Strong,
so good.
kicking himself off your lap. Since you had that experience in the NICU and you were on the other side of it, is there anything, I know you're not back to work yet, is there anything you'll take into going back to work that you maybe wouldn't have thought of prior to being a NICU mom?
Oh, definitely. There's, I feel like there's kind of 2 sides to like this experience. I get asked a lot if I'm going to return to the NICU after this experience.
Yeah.
I think we'll see how it goes. I mean, I think if the outcome had been poor, then it would have been a full stop. Absolutely. I can't go back there. But since our outcome was pretty positive, I think it would be a shame. I feel like I have gained so much knowledge and insight, obviously from the parent perspective.
Yes.
But also even from like the nursing perspective too. I've learned so much from seeing the NICU experience, or like this preemie trajectory, like from front to back, that it just seems like it'd be a waste to not bring that knowledge and that experience and that insight
Yes.
back to the NICU. So I'd really like to continue working there. Just, yeah, because like when you're nursing, I mean, you sometimes you work with the same baby for months on end, but you show up for 3 days, you go home for 2 days, you come back, and then you get a week off, and like you kind of pop in and out. But I was there every day for 4 months, and I just feel like I learned so much about like, okay, but then we gave this drug, but then this happened, so was that expected, or was that, you know? And I just like getting to see the progression every step of the way.
Right.
Was I just like you just can't buy that kind of education, I don't think.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, of course, I'm sure you're empathetic to people's situations of being in the NICU prior to your experience. But I think now you come in with a really fresh perspective of being so empathetic.
Yeah.
To like, you probably have an 8 supper because you're managing XYZ outside of here.
Totally.
Yeah.
And like all these things that like you kind of know are a big deal because parents tell you it's a big deal, but you don't really get why they're a big, like the little things, the, you know, the artwork in the room, the milestone awards, the cute bedding, things like that. And like, it is like, I get it. I get why it's a big deal now. And I feel like I would just have a lot more confidence to like have these like hard conversations with parents, like the how are you really doing? Like, you know, because we're officially caring for the babies, yes, but like the parents are obviously part and parcel with that. And I think if we have the opportunity to support the parents in, you know, I guess it'd be more of a psychosocial kind of capacity, then obviously we should be doing that. And I just feel like I have so much more confidence to kind of like approach the hard topics, or like, you know, would like, you know, read between the lines on maybe what a parent is telling me, about their own experience and what they need in that time. So it's, and like for myself, there were a couple nurses that also had preemie babies, and then a respiratory therapist too that we saw a lot, and they had preemie babies, went through the NICU as well. And like, not that they shared their experience, they didn't explicitly say like, oh, when I was in the NICU, is this how you're feeling too? And nothing like that. It was just like, it was this like this silent understanding.
Yes.
Like you speak and you just know that they get it. And we had lots of wonderful, wonderful nurses, and like but there is something special about somebody that's been there, that gets it in its like rawest form.
Yeah.
So I just think it'd be a real shame to not go back and work in the NICU again.
Yeah. Do you have a time? You don't tell me exact date, but how much longer do you got? Are you doing 18 or what are you doing?
Well, so God bless Canada. We have a program here for caregivers of critically ill children.
Oh, okay. I had no idea about this.
So, so I was able, while he was in the NICU, I was on, I guess, like an unemployment insurance benefit.
Okay, so not on technically a maternity leave.
You got it. It was the critical caregiver benefit or something like that. The social workers, shout out to them too, got me all hooked up with that. And the nurse practitioners filled out the paperwork, sent it to the government. So I was receiving, for the 4 months he was in the NICU, I was on that. And then my quote unquote maternity leave didn't start until he came home. So that was in September. So I have the whole summer. We get to make up for the crappy summer we had last year.
We'll see you at the paddling pool, girlfriend.
Oh, this is our summer. Oh yeah.
That's what I always say. I'm like, that summer, like after they're done being a potato, is like the most fun, because it's like we can actually do stuff.
Yeah, you don't have to hide them from the sun all the time.
We can put sunscreen on, all those fun things. Okay, so talk to me about content creation now. What are we doing? Where are we at with it? We're busy with 3. You've said you kind of throw it in when you can. Yeah. But what does it look like now?
Well, I've been doing it for long enough that I've got kind of like a cache of, you know, videos on my phone that I can
got them locked and
repurpose.
loaded.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think of something, I see something, whatever, a trend that I think is so relatable, whatever it is. And I'm like, you know what? I'm pretty sure I've done something similar in the past. I find this video, throw the text over top, and it's very like low quality, I will admit. But you know, it's pretty like low effort, which is the key. Yeah. So there's a lot of that goes into it. But I also, like I said, I mean, it just like, I do it because it's fun. And so when I really kind of like narrowed down on this like nursing niche, I was kind of a little more fixated on the follower count, the likes, like you said, the dopamine hit.
Yeah.
And now I guess it's just like, I don't know, like I said, that's not my real life. This is my real life. And so like, I'm just going to post what I want to post. And sometimes it's nursing related. Sometimes it's motherhood related. Sometimes I just think I'm really funny and I want to share my jokes with
you got
the world.
A couple little brand deals going on over there.
Oh, yes, I do.
I love that for you.
I really do try and keep my content as genuine as possible. Like, just because someone is willing to pay for a promotion, if it doesn't,
it has to align.
It has to align. And also there have been the odd time where I've like gotten this product and been like, this is crap. Thank you so much. I will provide you with the deliverables, but this is not a good fit because these shoes are garbage. Like that kind of stuff, which is very awkward conversation to have. I really don't like having that conversation, but like,
But I like that you do that.
I just like, and it maybe would be different if, I guess maybe like my face, my identity wasn't like tied to my account. If I was like a faceless Instagram account or whatever, then I mean, I'd be a little less concerned. But like, this is my reputation. I don't really want to be like an influencer. I guess the whole point was like to build a community of nurses, a community of moms, and like to share these like relatable experience. We can all have a laugh, have a cry together, whatever it is for us to be like, oh my gosh, I've been there. And a
little bit of solidarity.
Yep, exactly. And so that, the brand deals are kind of fun. I mean, in some ways I put a lot of time and effort into building this account. So on one hand, I'm kind of like, you know what, if there's a way to monetize it, I feel like in a sense, I guess I've earned that. But at the same time, I really don't want to like lose sight of what people are getting from the account, what I'm getting from the account. Right. And I certainly don't want anybody to feel like I'm fleecing them or.
Well, that's how I even feel about my podcast is I don't really even look at the numbers because I'm like, would I change anything if it wasn't successful? I'm like, no, because I'm enjoying what I'm doing. I'm enjoying how I'm doing it. I'm enjoying the conversations I'm having. I wouldn't go, oh, well, I should maybe like, I like it. So why am I changing it based on how many people are watching it?
Totally.
You know what I mean?
And I think it's really easy to fall into like a bit of a trap. Algorithms are just the worst. And
there's no rhyme or freaking reason is what I'm learning.
And I think that it really just like pushes people to do more extreme, hotter takes, bigger, whatever. Yeah. And I think it's really easy from personal experience. I feel like it's really easy to fall into that trap of being like, oh, like this struck a chord maybe negatively with people. Like, and I think there's a lot of like, you know, quote unquote rage bait, right? I mean, when you're making money from it and people are engaging, why would you change anything? Like, why would you do something that wasn't polarizing or offensive or whatever? And that is not,
I'm too sensitive to do that.
No, I agree with that. Like if I get a little bit of pushback, I'm just kind of like, you know what, maybe I'm not cut out for this. Back to the funny.
And even some of the clips that I make for the podcast, I know if I just clipped one certain part without any other information given with it, I know that it would go viral just based on it seems maybe a little bit of a hot take, but it's not in the full context of the podcast. But I'm like, neither of us wants that from this. So I'm not even we're just going to share the fun and the fluffy and the relatable.
Yes. Yeah. No, I agree. Yeah.
And what do you think about, I want to hear about your perspective with the two different audiences, TikTok versus Instagram. Where do you feel like you get the most pushback, if ever any pushback?
Oh, definitely TikTok.
It is a lawless land.
It is.
They're mean on there.
They're pretty mean. And like, I did share a little bit of our NICU experience, and like, I'm gonna give them a little bit of grace and assume that it's probably like an 11-year-old or something somewhere. That was like, it was these like short clips of Benji in the NICU with tubes and tapes. And
were you doing the dance like the girl from
I missed the opportunity.
Benji's in the NICU.
I can't believe the lighting was so good too. It's really tragic. So, and like somebody had commented on just being like, why does this gross baby keep coming up on my feed? And I was like, if I knew where you lived, I'd fight you. Also no,
but then you go and click their account and it's like user 6784832 and it's not a picture. It's like, okay, why am I taking merit in someone who can't even actually show their face or their name on it? But there's so many more like that. I think on TikTok, I was starting to get offended for a little while, and then I was like, why do I care?
You know what?
Instagram's so uplifting, mostly positive, because people's actual pictures are associated with their
it's definitely realer.
Yeah, it's not as much of a, but I will say the views on TikTok are usually better than on Instagram. Like I'm way more likely to get a bit of virality there than on Instagram. But I like Instagram better because they're nicer to me.
Yeah, I think, well, I read somewhere that like TikTok is where you get the views and you funnel them to Instagram, which is where you like foster the relationship.
Yeah, that makes
TikTok
sense.
is to like drive the audience, and Instagram,
but you're right,
there
is no relationship on TikTok because you post a clip and that's it.
Yep.
Whereas Instagram, you make a story about your clip and
TikTok, like you'll get all these followers or whatever, and they will never ever. That algorithm is cooked. I don't know what they do, but like they'll never see your stuff again. They might even follow you, and they will never ever see your stuff again, or just not. Maybe it's just me, and they just don't want to interact.
No,
with my
I'm
stuff,
finding the same thing. I get so many views on Instagram, so many more than I have followers, but then on TikTok, I get like exponentially less views than I have followers, and I'm like, well, that doesn't make sense. I should at least get half.
You would like to think, right? Like who's I don't know. Anyway,
whatever. It's not for us to understand. We'll just complain about it forever.
But I mean, I think that's probably also part of the business model, right? You keep chasing it, right? We're chasing this high, well, if we can just crack the code, and everyone and their mom thinks they've cracked the code. If I had a nickel for every woman that's come across being like, TikTok rolled out this new feature, and if you jump on it, you're going to go viral. And
make sure you post on your story on TikTok.
Yeah, right. Like, no. Has anyone ever watched a TikTok story? Because I have not.
No, I hate them.
Okay, cool.
Sorry if you post
Glad we're all on the same
I don't like them. Okay, so let's end on a little bit of a lighter note. Talk to me about having 3. You kind of alluded that it's been chaotic, but that was always the dream. So
that was the dream.
What are the realities of 3? How is it like being outnumbered?
Yeah, it's
I know, we're almost done.
It is it's something. Now I do recognize that Benji came with some extra considerations.
Yeah.
I remember the first day after he came home from the hospital, and my husband had gone to work, and I was trying to get everybody up. Thankfully, I wasn't fresh post C-section. I was like 4 months postpartum at this point. And I was trying to get everybody up and out the door. And I think I cried. I think everybody cried. And and I think I had 2 separate meltdowns at one point. And I just closed the door to my room and was just like, I don't know what we were thinking. This was a lot. I mean, it was tough being in 2 places at one time, but it was almost easier when Benji wasn't in the mix. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he was so small, and going to exclusively breastfeeding was a bit of a challenge. I'd been pumping for these 4 months with the intention of exclusively breastfeeding when we got home, but I was making way more milk than he made. So then he was drowning while breastfeeding, and he was getting only 4 milk, and then his tummy was sore, and I was like, why? This is it's just so much. And then to sit on the couch, my older child especially is incredibly energetic, and he's bouncing off the walls, and for me to sit on the couch for 30 minutes to nurse our 4.5 pound baby, 5 pounds, what were you at that point? I don't remember, was just everybody was having just a terrible time. We watched a lot of TV in those first couple weeks especially.
Yep. Same here.
Oh yeah, we didn't have daycare. Our daycare was on a hiatus for the first few weeks he came home. So we had grandparents that were very involved, and that was wonderful. But those couple hours waiting for Grammy to show up, those were
you know what? I agree. My daycare is closed over the summer, so I had Harvey in March. 3 months, kind of let her go to daycare because I was like, Mama's got to figure this out. I can barely handle you. Lots of TV, but then it came to summer, and I was like, okay, this is a sign from the universe that I got to learn how to do this with 2, and we're gonna do
Trial
it.
by
We
fire,
have
baby.
no choice, and here we go. And that was the best thing I did. Was it's that you can do it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. You just do it. That's right. What I
just
really
do
question, everybody tells me that 3 is hard. 4 is nothing though. Once
They
you've
say
crossed
once you've crossed that.
But and I appreciate that. You know what? I do believe it. I just wonder how somebody gets over the 3 hump to be I would like to test that theory and see if it's actually easier, because we are run ragged here. I just can't even imagine putting in. Also, I don't think we could fit a 4th car seat in our car.
Well, you probably have to buy a new house too, I would guess, because all the houses in this neighborhood are 3 or 4 bedrooms.
Yeah,
Or
that's
people
probably
would have
true.
to start sharing.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Bunk beds, babies. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Okay, well, thank you for coming on the podcast. Thank you for sharing your story. I know it's a tough story.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah,
So
and
thanks.
thank you for bringing Benji. Benji, thank you for coming on the podcast. It was a pleasure to have you today. He's so cute. He loves that microphone.
He
You
just
get
wants
it,
to
man. You
eat
get
it
it.
so bad.
Okay, so this is how you know the convo's so good. Lil old me forgot to have Sarah Lynn plug her socials. So if you want to go and follow her content, it's good. She's got a little bit of everything there. It's not just the nursing stuff. So if you're not a nurse and you don't understand, that's okay. It's Lynnfinity, and beyond. So LYNNFINITY and beyond. Such an amazing conversation with her. I'm so incredibly grateful that Sarah Lynn came on, and she was so willing to share such a deeply emotional and difficult chapter of her life. These conversations are never easy to have, but they are so important, and I know her story is going to resonate and help with so many people that listen. So as always, thank you for having your morning coffee or your evening beveragino or wherever you are in your day with us. I appreciate you more than you know. Catch you on the next one. Love you. Bye.